Before we begin, I want to ask you something important. When was the last time you paused, truly paused, to ask yourself not what you want from life, but what life quietly expects from you every single day? We live in an age of endless distractions, instant opinions, and fleeting trends. But success, real lasting success, doesn't come from what you do once in a while. It's built in the quiet moments, in the choices no one sees, and in the habits you repeat day after day. Today, I'm not here to overwhelm you with ideas. Thank you. I'm here to share something far more practical. 10 simple yet powerful things you must work on every single day to shape your character, sharpen your mind, and design the life you truly deserve. And here's why you need to stay with me until the very end. Because the difference between a dreamer and a doer is not luck, it's daily discipline. It's what you choose to work on before the sun rises, and what you choose to keep working on when the world isn't watching. By the time we finish, I promise you'll walk away not just inspired, but equipped. Equipped to face your mornings with clarity, your challenges with confidence, and your evenings with a quiet pride that comes from knowing you moved forward, even if just by an inch. So if you've ever wondered how people you admire keep their edge, stay balanced and keep building no matter what, listen closely, because it doesn't take magic. It takes mastering these 10 things every single day. Of all the things we must work on every single day, nothing is more transformative or more underestimated than the deliberate shaping of our own mindset. Your mindset is the quiet architect behind every decision, every reaction, every risk you dare to take, and every opportunity you choose to see or to ignore. It isn't fixed. It's something you build and rebuild daily, like a muscle that grows stronger the more you use it. And yet most people rush into their day without giving a single conscious thought to what they're feeding their minds. They let outside noise set the tone instead of choosing it themselves. But here's the truth. The story you tell yourself when you wake up matters more than anything you'll hear from the outside world. Imagine beginning each morning by pausing for just a moment before your feet hit the ground. In that pause, you ask yourself, what will I allow to guide me today? Will it be doubt or will it be belief? Will it be fear or will it be courage? This practice doesn't demand hours. It asks only for your attention and your honesty. When you choose to start your day anchored in gratitude and clarity, you immediately change the way you see everything that follows. A challenge stops being a sign to retreat and becomes a signal to rise. A delay stops being a defeat and becomes a moment to reflect. It's this mindset that allows you to live your day instead of letting the day live you. And here's why this matters so deeply. The world will test you. It will question your worth, your vision, and your pace. It will offer reasons to complain, to compare, and to compromise. But if your mind is trained each day to return to what truly matters, your purpose, your values, your bigger why, then external noise loses its power to define you. You become steady where others sway and calm where others panic, and people notice. They see it in the way you carry yourself, in your patience when plans change, and in your optimism even when things get tough. I've learned that shaping your mindset daily is not about toxic positivity or pretending everything is perfect. It's about building the mental resilience to face what is imperfect and still move forward. It's about recognizing that setbacks are not a verdict on your ability, but a lesson in your journey. When you master your mindset, you free yourself from the fear of falling because you trust your capacity to rise again. And this trust, once built, becomes unshakable. One of the most powerful daily habits you can adopt is intentional reflection, taking even 5 minutes each morning to write down what you're grateful for and what you want to focus on. It sounds simple, but its impact is profound. Gratitude softens your heart, sharpens your perspective, and reminds you that you already have something to build upon. And clear intention gives your mind a destination, so you're not drifting through your day, but directing it. With these two practices combined, you begin to notice opportunities you would have missed, handle stress with more grace, and see growth where before you only saw problems. Equally important is guarding your mind against what weakens it. Be mindful of what you consume, the voices you listen to, the content you scroll through, and even the words you speak about yourself. Replace criticism with curiosity. Ask why you feel stuck instead of labeling yourself as a failure. Surround yourself with people who challenge you to think bigger, not those who keep you thinking small. And remember that your inner dialogue shapes your outer reality far more than any circumstance can. Throughout your day, remind yourself that mindset isn't a one-time ritual you do in the morning and forget. It's something you return to, especially in moments of stress or disappointment. When you feel your patience slipping, pause and ask, what story am I telling myself right now? Often you'll realize it's a story of fear, of scarcity, or of comparison. And in that moment, you have the power to rewrite it, to choose a narrative that empowers instead of weakens you. And at the end of the day, reflect once more. Ask yourself what tested your mindset today and how you responded. This reflection is where real growth happens because it transforms an obstacle into a teacher and every day into a chance to become a little wiser, a little calmer, and a lot stronger and a lot stronger. It's easy to underestimate this practice because it feels quiet and invisible. But the changes it brings will show everywhere. In your confidence, your resilience, your relationships, and the quality of your decisions. Your mindset is the lens through which you see life, and by working on it daily, you choose to see possibility where others see limits, hope where others see defeat, and purpose even in your hardest days. When you commit to mastering your mindset every day, you stop being a prisoner of your circumstances and become the architect of your life. And that is a power worth building, every single morning. If there's one truth that defines every remarkable story of success, it's this: discipline isn't born in grand gestures or rare bursts of motivation. It's cultivated patiently and quietly through the small actions you choose every single day. And it's these seemingly ordinary choices: waking up on time, keeping your word to yourself, finishing what you started, that build the extraordinary strength most people only dream of, because discipline at its heart is not about restriction, but about restriction. It's about freedom. The freedom to trust yourself, to follow through, and to know deep down that you won't abandon your goals the moment they feel inconvenient. We often talk about discipline like it's a natural gift reserved for the lucky few, but the truth is, it's built moment by moment. It starts when you silence the alarm and your body pleads for just 5 more minutes of sleep. It's in that pause where you remember your commitment and choose to get up anyway. It lives in the moment when a distraction calls your name, but you remind yourself of why your work matters. And it's tested in the countless ordinary situations where no one else is watching and you could easily slip, but you don't. Over time, these choices shape not only your habits, but your identity. You stop seeing discipline as something forced from the outside and start living it as something you carry within. One of the greatest misconceptions is that you have to overhaul your entire life overnight to become disciplined. But discipline isn't about perfection. It's about consistency. Start with the small, non-negotiable promises you make to yourself. A daily walk to clear your head. 20 minutes of reading to keep learning, setting aside time to reflect on your progress. These habits may look simple on paper, but they act like anchors, keeping you grounded and focused even when life becomes unpredictable. They teach your mind to follow your intentions, not your impulses. And there's something powerful that happens when you keep these promises. Each time you do, you quietly tell yourself, I can rely on me. And that self-reliance is priceless. It becomes the foundation you stand on when challenges come, when motivation fades, and when doubt whispers that you can't. Because you have evidence. You've seen yourself show up before, and you know you will again. That is why small daily acts of discipline matter more than the occasional big effort. They build the muscle of commitment so that when something bigger comes along, you're already strong enough to face it. Of course, discipline doesn't mean saying yes to everything. Often it's about having the courage to say no. No to distractions that steal your focus, no to people who drain your energy, and no to habits that keep you stuck. And it's recognizing that every yes costs something, and making sure your yes is reserved for what truly matters. This isn't selfish, it's intentional living. It's choosing to build your life instead of being pulled in 1,000 directions by everyone else's expectations. In our world today, it's easier than ever to lose discipline. Notifications beg for attention, opinions flood our screens, and comparison tempts us to measure our progress against others instead of our own values. That's why your daily disciplines matter so much. So much. They act as a compass, reminding you where you're headed and why. Even on the days you feel tired or uninspired, discipline carries you forward until inspiration returns. It's not that disciplined people never feel lazy or distracted. It's that they've trained themselves to keep moving anyway. Another part of daily discipline is reflection. Take time each evening to look back and ask yourself, where did I keep my word today? And where did I slip? This isn't about blame. It's about awareness. By understanding your patterns, you can prepare for tomorrow with greater clarity and intention. Reflection transforms discipline from a rigid rule into a living, breathing practice that adapts as you grow. Remember, discipline isn't about living a life without joy or spontaneity. It's about creating space for those moments to exist. When you've done your work, honored your commitments, and kept your foundation strong, you can enjoy your rest, your relationships, and your passions without guilt or worry. Discipline gives you the gift of presence because you know you've taken care of what matters. So each day, ask yourself, what is one small promise I can keep today? What can I do, even for just a few minutes, to move closer to who I want to become? Over time, these small steps add up to miles. And one morning, you'll wake up and realize you've built not just habits, but character. Not just routines, but resilience. And the quiet strength you've built through discipline will carry you through any season, any setback, and any dream you choose to chase. Because in the end, it isn't what we do occasionally that defines us. It's what we do every single day, especially when no one else is watching, that shapes who we become. And that is a choice worth making, again and again. If there's one thing life teaches us over and over, it's that no matter how talented, disciplined, or determined we are, none of us can truly thrive alone. Every dream, every breakthrough, every quiet victory is touched by the people we choose to keep close, the words we choose to share, and the intention we bring to our daily connections. It's easy to think of communication and relationships as things that simply happen along the way, but the truth is, there's something we must work on, deliberately and consistently, every single day. At its heart, building meaningful connections is less about speaking and more about listening. Each morning, remind yourself to listen. Really listen to the people around you, to the colleague whose voice is often overlooked, to the loved one who speaks not just with words but with silence, and to the quiet intuition within yourself that often knows what matters most. Listening is an act of respect. It says you matter, your words matter, and when people feel truly heard, trust begins to grow. It's this trust that becomes the invisible bridge we walk across together in times of uncertainty or change. But listening alone isn't enough. We must also speak with intention. Words carry energy. They can lift someone's spirit or cut deeply without us even realizing it. Every day, choose to speak words that encourage, that challenge, and that clarify. Replace careless criticism with thoughtful feedback. Trade empty compliments for genuine appreciation. And perhaps most importantly, have the courage to say what's true, even when it feels uncomfortable, because honesty delivered with kindness deepens every bond. There's also a powerful discipline in showing up consistently for the people who matter and mean. It's easy to send a quick message or like a photo online, but real connection is built in the moments we reach out without needing a reason. A call just to check in, a text to share a memory, a quiet presence when someone is struggling. These small daily gestures tell the people in our lives, I see you, I care about you, not just when it's convenient. Over time, this consistent presence weaves a network of support that strengthens us as much as it strengthens them. And while nurturing relationships with others is essential, don't forget the most foundational relationship you have, the one with yourself. Speak to yourself each day as you would to a dear friend. Replace self-criticism with curiosity, blame with understanding, and doubt with encouragement. The way you treat yourself sets the standard for how you allow others to treat you. And when you value and respect yourself, you naturally draw relationships into your life that reflect that same respect. In our daily rush, it's tempting to see connection as something we'll get to later, Peter. After the meeting, after the deadline, after things slow down. But meaningful relationships aren't built in grand gestures alone. They're built in everyday moments, sharing a meal without screens. Asking a colleague about their day and really listening to the answer. Offering help not because it's expected, but because you truly care. It's in these moments, repeated daily, that trust becomes unshakable and bonds become lasting. Another practice that makes all the difference is gratitude. Each day, take a moment to acknowledge the people who make your life richer. Thank the mentor who offered guidance, the friend who made you laugh when you needed it most, the team member who quietly handled a task without needing praise. Without needing praise. Gratitude not only strengthens those relationships, it shifts your own perspective. You begin to see people not as obstacles or competitors, but as allies and teachers on your journey. Of course, real connection also requires vulnerability. It means being willing to say, I need help, or I was wrong, or I'm not sure, but I'm willing to learn. Vulnerability is not weakness, it's the deepest form of courage. When you show up authentically, you invite others to do the same. And it's in these honest exchanges, free from masks and pretenses, that the strongest bonds are forged. Conflict, too, is a part of every relationship worth keeping. When disagreements arise, and they always will, see them not as signs of failure, but as invitations to understand each other better. Approach them with openness rather than defensiveness, curiosity rather than judgment. Daily practice of honest, respectful dialogue transforms conflict from something that divides to something that strengthens. Ultimately, working on your connections and communication every day is not about becoming popular or being liked by everyone. It's about living in alignment with your values, surrounding yourself with people who challenge and inspire you, and creating a circle of trust that you can both rely on and contribute to. It's about realizing that our greatest achievements mean little if we have no one to share them with, and our hardest struggles feel lighter when carried together. So each day, remind yourself, connection is not an afterthought, it's a discipline. Speak with kindness, listen with your heart, show up even when it's inconvenient, and above all, keep building trust, slowly, patiently, and deliberately. Because in the end, it's not the number of people in your life that matters, but the depth and honesty of the connections you nurture day by day. Every day offers us a choice, to remain who we were yesterday or to step forward into who we can become. And if there's one habit that quietly shapes the course of your life more than almost anything else, it's the daily commitment to sharpen your skills and expand your knowledge. This isn't about chasing perfection or trying to know everything. It's about honoring the responsibility we each have to grow. Because growth is not something that happens to us by chance. It is something we must deliberately cultivate day after day, no matter how busy, tired, or distracted life becomes. There's something deeply empowering in starting each day by asking yourself, what can I learn today? It could be as small as understanding a new word, as practical as mastering a tool you've struggled with, or as profound as gaining a new perspective on something you thought you already knew. When you approach your days with this mindset, you shift from being passive to being actively engaged with your own evolution. And it's this quiet daily pursuit of learning that keeps your spirit curious and your mind adaptable. The world around us is changing faster than ever. New technologies, fresh challenges, and emerging industries reshape what's possible almost overnight. It's tempting to feel overwhelmed by this pace, but the antidote is simple. Keep learning. Even a few minutes each day, invested in reading, practicing, or reflecting, can keep you ahead of the curve. Because it isn't the strongest who thrive in times of change, but those most willing to keep growing. And it's not just about adding new skills. It's about refining the ones you already have. Think of a musician who plays scales every morning, not because they've forgotten how, but because mastery demands maintenance. Or an athlete who repeats basic drills even at the peak of their career. The same is true for us. Repetition isn't a sign of stagnation, it's a sign of commitment. It's through revisiting, reflecting, and refining that we deepen what we know and transform knowledge into instinct. Another part of this daily growth lies in reflection. Learning doesn't always come from books or mentors. Often it comes from our own experiences, if we take the time to look closely. Each evening, ask yourself, what did today teach me? Where did I handle something well? Where could I do better next time? This quiet reflection turns every success and every mistake into a lesson. And over time, these small insights shape us far more than the biggest breakthroughs. There's also great value in challenging yourself to step outside your comfort zone, even in small ways. Read something you disagree with. Try a skill you've avoided, or ask a question you're afraid sounds naive. Growth lives on the other side of comfort. It's easy to stay where we feel competent, but it's only by venturing into what we don't yet know that we discover new strengths. And as you build this habit, remember to stay patient with yourself. Growth is rarely dramatic in the moment. Some days it may feel like you're learning nothing at all, or even taking a step backward. But progress, like nature, often happens quietly. You may not see the roots growing underground, but they're preparing something stronger to emerge. Trust that these daily investments in your mind and skills will reveal their value over time. Equally important is surrounding yourself with people who push you to keep learning. Find mentors who challenge you, peers who share openly, and friends who aren't afraid to ask tough questions. Learning is magnified when it's shared, discussed, and tested in real life. And as you learn, don't keep it to yourself. Teach others, share your insights, and offer guidance where you can. Teaching is not the end of learning. It deepens it. Your daily commitment to growth also changes your relationship with failure. When your goal is not to prove you're perfect, but to keep improving, mistakes become teachers instead of enemies. You begin to see every setback as an opportunity to refine your approach, and every criticism as a chance to see what you might have missed. This mindset turns challenges into fuel for growth rather than reasons to retreat. And perhaps most importantly, remember why you're growing. Not for applause, not for titles, but to become someone who can handle greater responsibility, create more value for others, and live a life of deeper meaning. Skills and knowledge are tools, but the real transformation lies in who you become along the way. More patient, more resilient, more compassionate. So each morning, ask yourself a simple question. What will I learn today? And each evening, ask, what did I learn? Over days, then weeks, then years, these small questions shape a life defined not by what you once knew, but by your willingness to keep learning. Because in the end, it's not what we achieve that defines us, but the growth we choose every single day to never stop seeking.